Hey guys, and welcome to another video from the Parrot Bros. Today we're going to be discussing roll cages, reasons why you might need them, reasons why you might fancy one, and all the different kinds of ones available, and much more. So before we get stuck into it, let's jump into the intro. So the main reason for looking at roll cages was I did a track day last week, of course. You've probably seen it, video up in the corner if you haven't. But basically, I did the track day and I was trying to think of reasons why I could make my car better. Not reasons why, but reasons to make the car better and how to make it better and the next steps for the progression. Now, I had a great day. The car performed really well. And I come back with a nice little list of things I wanted to do. And that also includes some safety things like harnesses, a bucket seat, at least one, and of course a roll cage, because should I push the car a little bit harder, I did end up on the grass four wheels a couple of times, and I was pushing it kind of to my limit and the car's limit. Plus, you never know what could happen, and safety is key, because at the end of the day, cars can be replaced, people can't. So that was kind of why I thought, well, I could probably do a roll cage. And then I started looking, and there's not really a great deal of information on YouTube, and of course, the source of information for TT stuff. So I thought, why not make a video about it? Now, the first real question I'm going to ask you, and you need to ask yourself, is it for aesthetics or looks, for like show, or are you going to be doing some track time or racing? Because the reason I say this, if it's for show, ideally, you need it still to be safe. It still needs to be bolted in and fit for purpose, because if you have an accident, you don't want it coming down and hitting you. But at the same time, it doesn't need to be like gusseted into the body, welded in. It could be bolt-in and removable, so there's no damage to the car whatsoever. Should you decide 3 months later you want to completely change your interior, take it out, and you don't want to be left with loads of stuff that's been chopped a bit. So there's quite a lot to think about. So that's kind of the looks. We'll go on to actual cages in a minute, but basically, you need to decide whether you want it for looks, whether you want it for sort of just for track days, or if you're going to compete in the car. Now, if you're going to compete, you need to get a cage which is specific for competing, which means it is either FIA or MSUK approved, which means it's the UK for UK. Is the kind of the governing body as to the regulations of how the cage is made, what materials are used, the way it's fitted and put in, and things like that. If you're just doing a track day and you want one for safety purposes, then it's a completely different story, because you don't need to have it to such a great extent. A lot of companies will make it to a spec, but it may not be as integral. Like, you may just be able to have a half cage, whereas in racing you won't be allowed just to have a half cage. So we'll go into the finer details first, but I just wanted to kind of put that out there. You do need to ask yourself what it is you need the cage for. If it is just for track days and show, or you intend to maybe do some track days and you drive like a bit of a lunatic on the road and you just want to be a little bit of safety, great. If you're going to do some competing, keep an eye out. So I'm just going to jump across the computer now and go through some of the details of who we have here. So if you see me turning sideways, you know why. Basically, when looking, there's 4 companies that make and sell, from what I could find, of course, there may be more out there, but there's 4 companies that make and sell them online, kind of ready to order or made to order with a price. There's loads of companies out there, and if anyone has any recommendations and they can back it up with some proof that they've had it done themselves and they recommend it, then that's great, because it's always nice to get people's recommendations if you've had good work and you trust a garage, because it's always nice for everyone to share that kind of information. But the 4 companies I'll give you, I have personally either seen, known, or met people that have had work done by them and they're very happy with the companies that sell the product. And there's also another company that I'll add in who, personally, I know 3 people who have had cages fabricated by him from scratch, and they are absolutely perfecto. So we'll jump on to the first one. That's Safety Devices. That's probably a name you've heard if you've looked at cages or done any kind of track days or anything like that before. Usually in black, and they have a white and red logo, Safety Devices. Now, they do a bolt-in cage. Now, this is completely, probably one of the only ones, there is a couple, but this is one of the only ones that just bolts in. It just drops in. The only thing that you'll probably need to do is remove your rear door cards. You've got the option of either removing them or trimming them in situ, either or. But obviously, if you're doing track days, it's probably not so much of an issue. But basically, it just bolts into where the rear uprights are. I'll show you a picture now. It bolts into the rear uprights, or the side protection points on the rear lower under the seat bench, and it also bolts on to the rear seat lugs where they go in on the upper part where they latch back, the back latch. So it literally just bolts in there. I mean, if you've already got your car stripped out, you could probably have one of them fitted in about 20-25 minutes. The worst part about it is getting the thing in there, because you can imagine it's one piece. So you've got to try and get this A-frame thing. So it's got a big hoop, and then you've got the back bar with a X in it. Oh, you get two options actually. There's a diagonal with just one, or you can have an X, and they both come with a harness bar. But basically, you've just got to try and get the thing through the door. So you might need to take your front seats out, through the door, put it in. A rubber mallet will definitely be your friend for just tapping it back in there, because it's quite a snug fit. But that is completely bolt in. So if you didn't want to do any damage into your car, any welding, any kind of modification, simply just take your rear door cars off, or buy some second set, so you've got another set, and you can just trim them a bit where the cage is going to sit, and then you are good to go. You can return it back to standard. So if you want to keep it long term, have it as a bit of a future classic, then you can do that. And they are about, if they've got one diagonal, they are £575, or £641 with an X brace instead. And they are, there's a couple of places you can buy them from. I'll put the links down in the description. There's a few companies you can buy them from. If you look online, you'll be able to find them. The next one is SW Motorsport. Now, they offer complete fabrication services. So if you take your car to them, you can pay them and they will fit them. They also do a mail order option where you can have a half cage bolt in, any colour. Now, I'll say all the quotes I've done and all the prices I found here are based on black, because it's just the easiest option. A lot of companies don't charge you anymore for normal powder coating colours, so your orange, yellow, green, red, blue, all that kind of great stuff. But basically everything's based on black. But yeah, 550 quid for a bolt-in back section. So it's actually a tiny bit cheaper than the Safety Devices one, which is nice. They're made to order. I mean, if with this SW Motorworks, and all these other companies, if you're looking to get stuff made, if you're not sure of anything, just drop them a call. I've spoken to most of them and just got some confirmation on some of the details. All of the people I'm mentioning now do offer fitting services, so you can, if you're not sure, even if it's bolt-in and you want to get it fitted properly, get it checked, they will do that for you. So just give them a call. I'll put all their details down in the description. SW Motorsport, so they do a half bolt-in cage, £550-ish is what it says on their website for the colours. Any colour, and they do a full MSUK bolt-in cage with weld-in foot plates, because obviously 4-point we know bolts in at the back. The 6-point obviously comes down the front. I don't know whether it dodges the dash or not. That's where it comes in front of the dash rather than going through the dash, and you have to drill a nice hole through your dashboard, which will be great fun. But that's between £1,150 and £1,300, depending on whether you have single door bars, double door bars, and all the other kind of different options you have available. So I mean, if you're looking to buy an out-and-out track car, you're looking to do track days, not compete, just track days, but you want a good cage which will cover all bases and is dead safe, I would go for a full cage with door protection, because if you go side-on into anything, whether it be another car, a wall, anything at all, you'd be surprised what happens. Then you know you're going to walk away from that, and it's cheaper than a car is, and you can't really put a price on safety. It's hard. I don't know what I'm going to do, because I'm not sure whether I want to go through the dashboard or not, but I'll cross that bridge at some point. But yeah, so the SW Motorsport ones, they do a whole range of other cages, but that is the two I could find when having a look through their website. JP Cages, they offer a half cage with a cross brace, which is £450. Now, all their cages are weld-in. Like I said, all these people will do the fitting work, so if you do want to get it done by them, you can do, or you can do it yourself if you have a good welder. So their half cage with a cross brace is £450. Their full track day cage with double door bars, cross bar and a rear harness bar is £950. Again, needs welding in. And they have a Multipoint competition roll cage, which again is full UK Motorsport compliant, and that is £1,100 depending on bits and bobs. But like I said, if you contact all these companies, I'm sure their fitting prices are pretty reasonable, considering, I mean, the cage price isn't bad, considering the amount of work that goes into it and the quality of the materials and stuff. What I will say is a lot of these companies are on Instagram, Facebook. Go check them out. Their welding is just, I mean, you'll be looking at it for ages, especially if you want a cage and you like a nice weld. And a lot of this, will also depend. The reason I'm giving you a few different companies is because a lot of this will depend on where you live. Because obviously, if you're getting a full cage fitted to your car, the likelihood is it's going to take a day or two, I'm guessing, for fab and paint. So you do have to factor in geographical location. So if one is north, one is south, one is east, one is west, you're likely going to pick the one nearest to you because it's going to, even it might be £100 more expensive, they're going to be nearest to you. So should you have any problems, you want any alterations, or you want to get a lift there and back and all that kind of good stuff, these are all things to factor in. So maybe it's not worth travelling 300 miles up north if it's £100 cheaper. So that's why I'm kind of providing you with a few different ones. These are all, every one of these companies I'm mentioning now, I like I said, I know people that have cages. They've got cages in their race cars, which they compete with. So I know that they are good quality work. Next is custom cages. Now, if you're on the TT page, you'll probably see this because a couple of the lads have had theirs done by this company. You've got, they do a 6-point Clubman CDS roll cage, which is MSUK compliant. That's 950-ish pounds, and that requires welding. They do a T45, which is a slightly lighter material from memory, MSUK compliant, which is £1,200, and that is again bolt-in, but it's bolt-in, but it may require some welding. You'll have to check with them. Please check with them before buying anything, just to make sure that you can get it sorted. And then the third one they do is a full custom cage. Now, I would recommend probably taking this to them if you do want to do it, because I mean their work looks amazing. But basically they've done full cages. We're talking like cross braces in the roof, we're talking gusseted up the window, we're talking across the dash bar, everything like full. You would quite happily get in that car and then get pushed and rolled down a hill kind of scenario. You know when you look at it and you think that's probably stronger than the car is. And that's like £1,500 to £1,800 plus, depending on how intense you want it to be. But I'm guessing if you're competing, it's got to be what it's got to be, eh? And then on to the last one, which was Tylah Motorsport. Now, this is who Aaron, if you've watched any of my videos and you've seen him floating about, he's got the Leon Paul hand with the TT race car. Have all had their cages fitted by him. He's a welder fabricator. He makes cages every day, all day. Really good stuff, really good work. Down south somewhere, don't quote me where. Check him out, he's on Facebook, Instagram. But they do a full range of bolt-in cages and he makes it to order. So it's entirely up to you what you want. You can go to town, you can have it gusseted everywhere possible, and he can do that for you. Same as all these other companies. I just wanted to try and provide you with some information on that. Now, what I would say is if you are thinking about using a roll cage, definitely look into other things to do. If you're not thinking about using a roll cage, but you're just watching this anyway, if you're going to fit bucket seats and you've got harnesses, just bear in mind the fact that when you fit, you're taking out your seat with an airbag, you're taking out your 3-point seat belt with a tensioner, you're taking out all the other things that comes fitted as that safety system, that you're replacing it with as good as, if not better, safety system, like a decent quality bucket seat, a harness, and a roll cage. Because if you have an accident, that has been tested through rollovers, crashes, and all that kind of stuff, your seatbelt, your tensioner, your airbags, etc. You take all of that out and then just put a bucket seat and a harness in. It may feel great and it may go round great, but should you have an accident, it may not work as well. The reason I got told many years ago by a guy who used to race minis, I don't know how true it is, but it makes sense, is that basically if you fit a bucket seat and a harness, it makes sense to have a cage, because if you roll or if there's any kind of accident, the other safety system you're having in a normal car is very good and it's made fit for purpose. But if you don't have a roll hoop over you and you're in a seat and you're fixed and it does roll over and the roof comes down, you've got nowhere to go. Whereas a normal chair may snap or go back, or you can lean forward over the seatbelt and that kind of stuff. So do bear that in mind. How true it is, I don't know, but it is definitely something worth considering. And everything, guys, cars can be replaced, people can't. So this is a kind of a safety video, and I was looking at cages. I'm going to get a cage at some point because my driving is a little bit questionable, especially on track. Only because I'm like, I can go 5 miles an hour faster into that corner, maybe 10, maybe 15. Oh, we're on the grass. But I basically just wanted to share that with you guys. I hope you found that helpful. Any comments down in the comments below? Yeah, leave me a message. If you've got any experience with cages, or if you've had a cage fitted yourself and you want to shout out to the people who've done it, down there, and feel free to send me an email. My link details are in the description. Send me some pictures as well. But until the next one, guys, bye for now.